record. Donnae, welcome. This is a YouTube reading for you, and it will be public. So we will stay with whatever is okay for you.
Okay.
And if there's anything I say that you want me to back off on because it is public, just tell me.
Will do.
Okay. Do you have any focus or anything you want me to specifically focus on?
Yes, actually. I recently got my first Akashic Records clearing. And it was focused around visibility and just being seen. So if there's anything that you see that ties into visibility and just around being seen, go for it.
Okay. So I will share the screen. And we will look at your chart. What I like to always start with is showing you the wheel that is the synthesis that became human design and later noble energy maps. And the basic human design chart and subsequently noble energy maps uses this mandala of synthesis, as I call it. At the center, we have something that relates to the tree of life and chakras. Then we have astrology around the outside. And the charts we're using are based on astrology. So we're using your birth date and time and converting that to the hexagrams and lines of the I Ching. What I did after getting just the human design chart, which looks at a birth time, in your case, the birth time was in Virgo. And we look at a time 3 months before birth, which would have put your sun 3 months before your birth at gate 20 or hexagram 20. So the sun would have been in Gemini. So by the time you went from 20 hexagram 20 to hexagram 59, and then after you were born to hexagram, excuse me, 34, you can see that in the 6 months, 3 months before birth and 3 months after birth, half of the zodiac was imprinted into your energetic aura. At the same time, the earth was moving around the wheel. So by the time you or any baby is 3 months old, the whole zodiac has been imprinted into the energetic aura. And so when I began working with the mental waking world design chart, which is the human design chart, I knew that there was more to be seen and learned. And so when I was asked by Ra in 1999 to validate design scientifically, he gave me the sleep or dream design. And based on that, and based on the fact that I had twin kittens, I expanded the system. And I am a social scientist and a psychologist. And an astrologer. So when I expanded the charts to take into account that I had twin kittens born within a few minutes of each other, I wanted to see what would differentiate them. And so I ended up with 8 charts going before you were born by 3 months and after you were born by 3 months. And these 8 charts correlate with developmental times in early infant development. So we have 3 months before birth, a week before birth, which is when the spirit enters the fetus in utero, 2 days before birth, when the mother's hormones have shifted and she's getting ready for delivery, and then an hour and a half before birth, when the mother goes into transition. And the same thing happens after birth. And what's fascinating about the postnatal is that it also delineates critical periods in infant development. The baby's breathing on its own, the mother's milk comes down and attachment happens. The soul or spirit is anchored within the baby. And in some cultures, the baby is then named a week after birth. And then 3 months after birth, the baby reaches for objects and has choice. So I'm looking not just at one chart, but I'm looking at the four worlds: the mental world, the spiritual world, the emotional world, and the physical world in 2 time frames for each. And it shows me how you function as a composite being at 3 months of age. I'll make it bigger. And in your composite, Donnae, whereas in human design, you would have been considered a single definition manifesting generator, I see that in your composite, you become a split definition manifesting generator, where the energies coming from the mind and the issues that you want to make sense out of are ones that you can't always solve on your own.
Mm.
You do have a chart that shows me that you do channel information, download information, and that you have some psychic ability. Do you know that about yourself?
I do.
Um, the the splenic center gets activated in composite. We can see that it got activated after you were born. And the two channels that activate the splenic center from the solar plexus and the root are the 5432 and the 3828.
Mm.
The 5432 happens to be a channel, if you look back, that is existent. Well, let me show you the four worlds. These are the four matrices. So when I'm working and doing a reading, and it's especially relevant for you, because you can see that the solar plexus doesn't exist in the spiritual or emotional angelic world. It only exists in the mental world and the physical biological world. Why? If you think about it, the galvanic skin response that's used in lie detector tests tells us what the physiology is responding to on an unconscious level. We then try to make sense of it in the mental world. But really, we are spiritual beings here to manifest our full potential. 99% of the population in composite chart are manifesting generators. And in your case, we need to look very carefully at where that solar plexus gets activated and how, because it helps you transform emotional energy so that you don't get caught up in the emotional energy of the people around you, because you do have the 59th gate in multiple places. And that says that you are here to help people transform emotional energy into higher consciousness. Your natal sun is in the 59th hexagram. Now, let's look at the North Node and the South Node. And they are in the 62nd and 61st hexagrams. And then it stays in 62 and 61, except for postnatal. And there, the North Node moves to 53, and the South Node moves to 54. So the 53 is a format, and it is, I'm going to take you back to the matrices. The 5342 is in the biological and the spiritual design. The 5432 is in the biologic design only and the mental. The 54 is a portal. So I'm going back to your chart. The 54 is your south node postnatally. And what that says to me is that part of the challenge for you in your consciousness is taking your intuition that's very open, because the the splenic center doesn't get any activations prenatally. It only gets an activation spiritually through the 32 and a week after you were born. And then you don't get the 54 till postnatal. So that says to me that it's pretty important for you to set goals for yourself that you do not compromise. Because when you're in the presence of other people with an open splenic center, you know what they need, but it's not time to tell them. That you need to figure out a few things. One, are they capable of receiving what you have to say? A lot of times you know things before the other person is ready to hear it. You're smiling. Does that mean I'm hitting the nail on the head?
I just had a conversation about this yesterday. The nail is being hit. Yes.
You want to tell me about the conversation?
Um, yeah, it was just about how I often want other people to validate my reality. And I often try to force them to dismantle their own before they're ready. And I kind of came to that realize my best friend helped me come to that realization. And I realized, oh, I am doing this before they're ready. And then my next question was, okay, well, how do I know when they're ready?
And did you have an answer for that?
Intuitively,
Okay,
I
so
heard,
let's see if what I tell you hits what you intuitively know.
hey,
The You have a defined solar plexus, And that solar plexus is defined by Venus in the 6
Mhm.
and your sun in the 59. And then, so that always remains because the both of those planets are in your natal design. But not everybody wants their emotional reactions released. Some people are invested in their emotionality. And what you're doing is you're asking yourself the question, how do I make sense out of this person's reactions? It may or may not be that you need to engage with them.
Mm.
So the first, now, it takes you some time to know if what you know about them and their emotions are aligned with either their goals or your goals.
Mm.
And it's a mistake for your goal to be taking care of another person. Um, you are a healer and you know how to take care of another person, but not everybody is open to the insights that you can give them. So, how do you know? I would recommend that before you either take anyone on as a client or as a friend who you whose consciousness you tweak, um, I would give them a test. I would test them and I would ask them a clean question.
Mm.
What do you know about whatever it is? So you get a hit, and instead of you telling them what you see or know, instead you frame what you know as a question. So you'd say, X, what do you know about what you want to achieve in the next 6 months? X, what do you know about this emotional reaction you're having now? And what would you like to have happen? Now, those two questions will activate the splenic center in your design.
Mm.
And as we know from studying the Tree of Life, the 27th path of intelligence is the balancing between the splenic center and the solar plexus center. So you have within yourself the capacity for yourself to take what you're feeling emotionally and transform it by using your intuition and your higher mind. But not everybody can do that, Donnae. Oops. Um, Wait a minute. Should have done that to start with. Um, so when um, when you come in contact with somebody, notice that the 62 and the 61 get activated in your crown and ajna um, a week after you were born. So your inquisitiveness is what can get you in trouble
Mm.
because you're asking yourself the clean question: what do I know about this? How do I know about this? What am I supposed to tell this person? You know, you think those things?
Yes.
Okay. So I think you sit on it for a while. Because if you speak too quickly, you're going to get resistance. And you get resistance because you're going in and dredging up some past life stuff, Akashic stuff,
Mm.
for the other person. And while it helps you to discharge this responsibility you feel, it doesn't necessarily mean that that person is going to be receptive to the information you're sharing with them. Speak to me.
You're absolutely correct. What's going through my mind is I feel like I sit on it for too long and I often miss opportunities to help because I am used to resistance. So sometimes I overthink it and I kind of just keep it with me when maybe I shouldn't.
Well, the danger for you in keeping it, quote, too long is that because you're a splenic empath, you feel in your body the stress of the other people.
Yes, I do.
And it pushes you to say something or do something. And because so much of what you sense is the underlying parameters of their emotional reactions, those are not something many people want to deal with. And so you're going to get a lot of people who have addictive kind of situations, eating too much, drinking too much, using drugs too much, where they're trying to numb the emotional reaction, but not in a constructive way.
I would argue that even I do that, but I do also attract a lot of people who that's their issue. And I've always thought maybe well, I can help people with this because I myself do it.
Part of why you succumb to those issues is because you are not aware that you're picking it up from other people.
Mm.
So, do you meditate?
Yes. Um,
Which form?
Transcendental meditation, thanks to you, Dr. Eleanor.
Okay, good. So, when you begin to feel, oh, you're 4037, postnatal lunar has moved from 5955. So 59 is here and 55 is here in this solar plexus to the 4037 between the sun and the earth.
Mm,
4037 is bringing in collective energies on an emotional level. So what's happening is it's almost as though, Donnae, you don't know what belongs to you and what belongs to the other person.
mm,
And a lot of your emotional stuff is contamination. So when you meditate, please bring in the question, what I'm feeling, does this belong to me or is it outside of me? Does this make sense to you?
it does.
And if it's not yours, ask the divine for guidance. You need to be much more not focused. You need to be more flowing, is the word I'm getting,
Mm,
with the energy moving through you instead of thinking that the energy moving through you belongs to you.
hmm. Okay, I see.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Tell me more.
So allowing one asking the question, identifying, and then allowing the energy to move through me as opposed to over identifying with these energies and clinging to the, because I feel like I do a lot of um yeah, I don't really let energy flow through me. I'm always questioning it. I'm like, okay, well, what's this? And then so it stays, I think, longer than it probably should.
Um, if you look again at the matrices, you're getting stuck on the solar plexus side.
Mm,
And what you want to do is you want to move now you do have a split definition in your composite. So what you want to do is you want to take this energy from the solar plexus side, which does not get to the throat.
mm,
It's not a manifesting energy for you. What is a manifesting energy for you is the understanding that you are a spiritual being in a light body here to do something important in the work you do. But you cannot do it if you are stuck in the emotional rather than asking the question of, and let me see if I can frame it for you. Um, when I know what I know because I know it, what is the message I'm here to give to others? Tell me how that moves inside of you.
the word role model came to mind. That's really, yeah, it's like the message that you're here to give through others is embodiment of your emotional transmutation. It's not even necessarily words, rather the actions themselves.
So you're being asked, if I'm translating what you're saying correctly, you're being asked to stay inside yourself and to live what you are expecting other people to live.
Exactly. Yes. Oh, okay. Mm.
Um, do you write your goals down?
No, because I don't like disappointing myself.
Um, I talked in my webinar yesterday about self-discipline.
Oh, maybe that's why I've been avoiding the web.
Uh, I don't know that it's self-discipline that you lack. I think you get pulled away from yourself by spending too much time worrying about other people and not enough time planning your own goals.
Mm, yeah.
Um, the issue for you, I think, has to do with a little bit of fear that um, those in your environment will not accept what you say.
A lot of fear. Yeah, that's I think that's my primary fear, that has been both reinforced and also um challenged by people. I think I've experienced both, but I hang more onto the rejection piece.
How can you change that? Do you know?
Honestly, Dr. Eleanor, I think it's a thing of perception.
Tell me more.
I My current perception is one of lack, I think. Whenever I open my mouth or a thought comes to my head, my first thought is usually doubt, self-doubt, or doubt of whatever that is that comes. And I think the alternative to that perception would be trust. And that's something I have a very difficult time with, is trusting myself, but also trusting my connection to the divine.
And where did that distrust come from?
I heard they came from me, but I don't know that that's the case. Uh,
A want for approval?
yes, I do want that.
So it could have come from the fact that when you were a child and you spoke up about what you were perceiving, when other people didn't perceive the same thing, they dismissed it.
Yeah, I can recall a few times where that did happen.
Let me look at this. This is your astrology chart. So you would have probably had a parent who was pretty active and vocal with what was okay and not okay.
Yeah.
Um, right now, and I did your progress chart, so you can see that Pluto is coming right up to Neptune in the third house. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to reprogram your own early ideas.
Mm.
And Um, it's a good time for you to assess your values and delineate what is really important to you. Do you have a job?
I do, yes.
What's your job?
I work in tech, so I am client success management, account management for big companies.
And do you like it?
I find myself feeling a bit unfulfilled. I do think it's a bit corporate for me.
Does it pay you enough?
It pays me very well, yes.
Then do you want to stay at the job or do you want to leave the job or do you want to do your own thing in addition to the job?
I think I'd like to do my own thing in addition to the job, but quite honestly, Dr. Eleanor, even after I answered your question, it's like, does it pay enough? I just realized, no, it does not pay enough. Like it pays good, but it's not enough. Like it's for the work. I don't feel like it's an equal exchange for energy, um, for finances. Yeah.
Um, you could in some way be involved with groups and you also um, I'd say in the next 6 months, the aspects are going to be changing. And if you wanted to branch out, not leaving your job, but branching out and doing something in addition to your job,
Mm.
it might be a good time for you to consider doing that. You're also reassessing what's really meaningful to you
Yeah.
and what your values are. Are you in a relationship,
I am not.
but you want to be or not?
Yeah, I think I do. Yes.
Um, then I would pursue that. Uh, I don't see um, well, maybe I do. Um, I think within the next year, there could be a relationship coming into your life.
Mm,
So I'd remain open to that. Uh, but I think you need to spend some really focused time on your values
mm,
and what's important to you because you're very good in social groups.
I am. Yeah.
And um, I think you have a lot of potential here, but the timing isn't there right away
Mm,
for you to completely shift your life.
mm,
Um, I do think that you have opportunities that you don't want to miss. And I think you hold yourself back a little bit psychically.
mm.
What's the fear psychically? And who put the fear in you?
I think I'm afraid of judgment. I'm really afraid of being judged. Like I don't. I think I just hold myself back because I don't want to hear people's opinions on it. As far as who put the fear in me, I will say I have a pretty judgmental family. My family is known to be judgmental. They are some of my biggest supporters, but they have grown into that. Um, and so I would say from them, yes.
Um, is there a possibility of a promotion at work?
That there is actually, yes, actually, yeah, there is a possibility of promotion at work.
Do you want it?
Um, I am hesitant to take on more responsibility, but I like the idea of it.
What would be involved?
More ownership, um, over relationships, more relationship building, more having to interface with people, travel, it would be involved.
Would you want to travel?
Yes, I love travel. Open to that always.
Then what's stopping you?
I I don't want to disappoint anyone. If I were to take ownership of that, and I don't want to disappoint myself either. I think a lot of times I have opportunities and I have things that I want to do, and perhaps I don't do them because I have a track record of disappointing myself, and I would like to not do that any longer.
Um, I'd go back to the situations where you disappointed yourself
Mm,
and I'd reframe them
mm,
because you have a very strong chart and um, you have a chart that's creative, that is transformational, that um, allows you creativity and helping people transform. And so getting clear on your goals, personal goals, um, and prioritizing them
mm,
is very critical because if you don't do that, then you may miss some opportunities that would fully empower you.
mm,
And um, if you enjoy your job, and it seems like you do, then you're not really looking to be an independent practitioner or coach. You're in a position where you have opportunity to advance within a corporate world. Speak.
yeah, I feel resistant to that for some reason. Why do I feel resistant to that? But I've also never considered that. Like, I thought it was like, oh, advancement in the corporate world. Like, what does that even mean? Like, who's that even helping? But I guess I think it would probably help me first and foremost.
Well, the reason I'm raising it is that according to your chart, you have different options
Mm,
and choices. And so I'm pushing you a little bit to go inside and decide what path you want to follow. Because if you're undecided and you're not delineating your goals, then the universe is orchestrating for you and you're not making the choices that would be right for you.
aren't we supposed to let the universe orchestrate for us?
Yes and no. If you're in a job, for example, that is a great opportunity where you could be in a position of power and influence, B, get good benefits, you like your job, you could put yourself at a level that would be saleable in the marketplace, either as an individual or as a corporate employee.
Mm,
So, what I see you not doing in talking to you is not leveraging yourself.
mm,
And if you don't leverage yourself, you run in place. And that's not enough for you.
yeah. I would like to not run in place. That would be.
So you have to decide, where do you want to be in a year? Where do you want to be in 3 years? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Do you want to be in a relationship? Do you want to have a family? Do you want to be in a corporate world? Do you want to be a successful corporate executive, or do you want to be an entrepreneur? Or do you want to be home with the family? All of those are possibilities. But if you don't decide, who will?
Mm, okay. Okay.
So what I'm looking at is I'm looking at your integrated chart, and I'm saying, okay, well, if you set goals and you know what you're doing is healthy for you because emotionally you feel satisfied and you feel like you can make a difference in people's lives and you can help them understand themselves and move forward and get what they need, then you will have fulfilled your mission. But if you pick up energy and you feel stuck from it, then the turmoil isn't yours, but you're feeling it
Mm,
because you're an empath. So until you decide your direction, you are being batted around by the people you come in contact with instead of your self-determination putting them in the proper cubbyhole, if you will.
mhm. Okay, yeah, this also helped me realize that even within my workplace, I think that there's been a lot of indecisiveness, and maybe that's why that little part of me that feels like, oh, I don't really like this, it's because I don't even have goals even within the smaller container of my career. And so I do often feel like I'm constantly being like pushed and wished around this way. Um, because I've not determined what my goals are.
So please pay attention to what your goals are, because only then will you be orchestrating your life.
Wow. Okay.
Is this helpful?
Yes, Dr. Eleanor, this is immensely helpful.
Good. So anyone listening, please like and subscribe, and feel free to drop a word and email me with your reactions. And Donnae, it's my pleasure. I'm going to stop the recording and stop the share.